Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video I want to talk about one of the longest standing comps in the game, Vulcan Phoenix, and how I like to play it. We'll be up against Tungdil, one of 301's strongest. His MMR is around 2.3, 2.4k MMR, so it's a tough match for sure. Having a look at the packs here, I'm immediately going to have one of my favorite packs if I want to go for a Vulcan Phoenix game, and that's going to be a Sledgehammer opener. I think Sledgehammer openers are great because you can pair them up early with something like Hound or Arclight, and then that'll probably keep you safe from enemy chaff until you reach the mid game where you'll be able to transition into Vulcan. So definitely try and pick up a Sledgehammer pack if you can. Now, Aerial Specialist is a bonus, of course, allows you to get into those Phoenixes early. You get those extra stats, it's just nice to have, and I mean, Aerial Specialist gets a lot of extra hit points, so it allows you to get to that mid-game where you can afford the Vulcans, the Techs, and yeah, just kind of get into the comp that you want to play. Now, my opponent is an Amplify Specialist, starts with Sledgehammers as well, and has some Crawlers. And here what I'm going to do is put the Hounds on the outsides, Sledgehammers on the insides, and make sure that I leave space in front of the towers because that's where I want my Vulcans to be. So whether you start Hound or Arclight, make sure that your Arclights are not going to be in front of your towers, or at least make sure that there's space near them where you'll be able to put down a Vulcan. But this type of setup should be just fine in the early game. I've got Hounds and Sledgehammers together. They should be more than capable of dealing with the enemy chaff. An opponent here will go for double Marksman. So early on here, I would probably recommend, if you want to go Vulcan Phoenix, not to go into Marksman. Even if that means that you lose the first round, that's not that big of a deal. But buying Marksman here, and then, you know, maybe dealing 100 damage if you win, is not really going to be worth it. If instead you could have had, you know, 2 useful deployments on your board, like 2 Crawlers or 2 Arclights, 2 Hounds, whatever it may be. Now, as you will see here, we chaff clear just fine, but we don't really have DPS just yet. And that does give our opponent a slight advantage here. Sledgehammers are locked onto the enemies, but they're not really known for dealing massive amounts of damage. And yeah, with the Marksman's help, Tungdil will be picking up the first round here. But that's completely fine. We have 5k hit points. We don't really mind losing 440 there. Now, round number 2, and we immediately have to deal with some unit reinforcements. Farseer shows up, a quick pick from Tungdil. It is one of the stronger units, if not the strongest unit that can drop on round 2. Very powerful in the early game, can pretty much like solo carry rounds, even until like the end of the mid game sometimes if you give them levels. And here, I mean, I could pick Fangs in the back. It's not terrible. Just have some additional chaff. Farseer is a safe pick. Stormcaller I could go for as well if I want to. But I think Farseer here is just a safer pick. I do kind of like mull over, I think, both Stormcaller, Farseer, and Fang. But in the end, I say to myself, well, into Sledgehammers, Farseer isn't too bad. And it's always nice to have a special unit unlocked, because now that it's been picked up by one of us, it can't drop again, and it can sometimes be a useful unit. Opponent goes for another Sledgehammer, and gives the 3rd small amp core to the Farseer. We also see a 4th Crawler pack show up. So a double deployment here. We end up picking the Farseer as well. And because we're aerial spec, we can still unlock a Phoenix for free and use our 2 deployments to get another Crawler in the middle and then a Phoenix on the left. So what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that the board is still even, where the right side for now will have a Farseer to help out with DPS and the left side will have the Phoenixes to help out with DPS. It turns out that that's a good idea because, well, the right side is quite scary now. More chaff, another Sledgehammer shows up, which does provide a lot of early game tankiness. Left side, though, looking good. Phoenixes this time around should lock. It seems like my opponent has slightly worse chaff gear than I do, at least on the left side. And right side, we're doing okay. Still full Sledgehammer. 2 full Sledgehammer packs are left. Ideally here, I'd be able to get a debuff before this goes down. That would allow the Farseer to do some absolutely nasty stuff. There we go. Debuff has been secured. And just look at how efficient this unit is. taking down the full right side, just stalling long enough. We'll now start shooting at the enemy Farseer. We'll end up going down, but with the 2 Phoenixes left, whoa, that is almost a disaster there. But my Phoenix level, and I'm very happy with how that round went. Round number 3, efficient tech research here, could be worth picking up. Port Shield, though, is one of the best items in the game for mid-sized units like sledgehammers, so I'm not too surprised my opponent picks it. And here I'm thinking, well, it probably is a wise choice for me as well. My opponent only has the marksman right now to deal with these sledgehammers. The left one hasn't leveled yet. And the important thing to note is that while level 2 marksman can one-shot sledgehammers, level 1s can't. So if I pick up the port shield, I should put it on the left sledge here, because that means this marksman will need 4 shots per sledge, whereas this one would only need 2. And yeah, we do see the port shield pick up there as well on the right side. Quad sledge now from my opponent. But that doesn't scare me too much because Vulcans are quite good into sledgehammers if you go for the Scorched tech. Opponent does have armor available, so we should be a little bit wary about that. But if we just have enough Phoenixes, then that doesn't scare me too much. And as long as the Vulcans are same level as the sledgehammers, Scorch tends to nullify any attempt at armoring them. Another Phoenix has been picked up, another Crawler here on the left side as well, just kind of bolstering the left side. Another Farseer pickup for my opponent, so seems to be going for a very heavy tempo-oriented early game here. Sledgehammer is very good in the early game, can fall off late. Farseer is kind of a similar story, very powerful in the early mid-game, but can of course get intercepted. And already now I'm starting to think, well, if I see more Farseer show up and I see levels being picked up, I might be tempted to go for some Mustangs with missile intercept, because a lot of the damage right now is coming from these Farseer, as you can see. The right one, 19k damage. The left one, 23k damage. If this continues to be the story, then intercepting them should be very valuable. Round number 4, a bunch of decent spells here, but I just decide to skip. Not really interested. Opponent does the same, and yeah, I want to get myself a Vulcan, so that's what we do on round 4, and we left a nice spot in front of the tower. The fact that my opponent went for early, like, more crawlers and went for a whole bunch of sledgehammers also makes it more tempting to go for a Vulcan this early. And as you see, we go for Scorch instantly, because I know that this level was available, and obviously it does get picked up. Left side, we see an opening here for a missile. Since there's no chaff in front, we might be able to hit this sledgehammer and kill the marksman as well. And that does seem to be the case. There it goes. Very nice missile there, even killing half of the crawler pack. Happy with that. Vulcan on the right side now might be able to pull something off, and another Farseer shows up, and a level has been picked up too, and that's really signaling me that I should think about Mustangs. I might want another Vulcan first, but looks like there is the beginnings of maybe an overinvestment into Farseer, and we should punish that if we can. Vulcan here doing a great job, managing to even take down the port shield sledgehammers, the leveled sledgehammers. We will eventually lose though, because this Farseer is, well, doing Farseer things. 54k damage dealt already. Do we get scammed is the question. It kind of looks like we might. Very bad tower debuff timing, and yeah, that looks like a scam in the making. There we go. And enemy Farseer will end the round with over 70k damage dealt, and yeah, that does give us a very good incentive to start intercepting them. Intensive training here shows up. I do decide to go for it. I don't need efficient giant manufacturing. Typically, you won't need more than 2 Vulcans. Maybe 4, but at that point, like, you've just made 50 if you went for efficient giant, and that doesn't really seem it's worth it. Instead, we go for intensive, and we immediately make a level 2 Vulcan. Because, again, armor is on the bar, but if we can just stay ahead of things, then level 2 Vulcan will do fantastic into this entire enemy board. And we do get the armor tech. Now, the bad thing is my right side Vulcan isn't leveled, and that's where the leveled sledges are. So maybe I should have put the level 2 Vulcan on the right side, or leveled the right side Vulcan. But I wanted to kind of greed the experience, because this Vulcan was getting quite a decent amount already. Now that we have 2 Vulcans next turn, because I do see the Farseers come out, probably will be able to go for some Mustangs. We go for the same missile again, this time around with the armor. The sledges do survive, but I still think that's a decent value missile, worth trying to go for. And we're kind of slowly scaling the Phoenixes here, right? This is a game where the Vulcans are a little bit more important. Chaff is a little bit more important. Thinking about potential loose formation here because of the enemy kind of relying on sledgehammers, which is not a fantastic shaft gear unit. And even worse into something like loose formation. Right side is losing again. I mean, there are 2 leveled Farseer over there, so it's kind of scary. Sadly, Phoenix is getting in front of my units there, although one of them manages to survive. Now the question is who gets debuffed. Looks like it will be me. And it's going to be Vulcan, level 2 with Scorch versus Farseer level 2 with small amp core. Who will come out ahead? I do have a Hound on the tower there. But man, just look at this damage. Absolutely insane. 150k damage dealt this turn. And yeah, another round pickup there from my opponent. Now, round number 6. We get extended range Vulcan offered, and I do kind of mull over it. But I'm thinking, right now, most of the battle seems to just be very brawly. And that's not what extended range Vulcan is good at, right? It deals good damage from a distance, but I think the leveled Vulcans are providing fantastic frontline. And I don't really want to give up on that. So I end up skipping. Level 3 Farseer now, and this is where you see us go for the Mustangs. I've got my board now. We're symmetrical. We've got the Vulcan on each side. The Phoenixes are leveled. We've got chaff kind of everywhere. So it's worth going for some missile intercept stangs. But it'll also provide a decent bit of chaff clear. Again, opponent doesn't really have the best chaff clear units. And so the late Mustangs will definitely help with that. Round number 6, a Melter shows up. I think Tungdil here realizing that the left side is a bit lacking in the damage department. So we'll need that to try and kill this Vulcan. And now we managed to bait out a crawler here in front. We managed to get 2 missiles down, get some value. But this time around, 3rd time's the charm, and we don't put another missile down. Keep in mind that we're also putting some fangs here in front to kind of prevent a similar missile from hitting us, and also to try and funnel units as much as we can. More chaff being picked up here as well. I might want another like 4th Mustang at some point here. And then I would like to build maybe at least 2 more crawlers to eventually click loose formation. Range on the Vulcans would be nice too, of course, getting some levels there, and then getting more Phoenixes as well, because it is, after all, Vulcan Phoenix. We kind of got sidetracked here, going for some alternative lines, having to respond to maybe a slightly unusual, like, carry Farseer board from the opponent. But you can see that this time around it's doing a little bit better. Not all of the missiles get intercepted, but I think it's already going a little bit better. Left side doing fine. We do have some level 3 Phoenixes there. I think they are deserving of range at this point. And are we going to get another bad debuff here? Kind of looks like it, but as I said, those Mustangs doing a fantastic job of acting like late chaff. And that does mean that our Phoenixes are getting things done. In fact, they already had range. Didn't notice that, but we did pick it up. And a level 4 Phoenix already, I mean, that's some big damage. And it also prevents the opponent from going into something like Fortress AA, because we're kind of past the tankiness point where Phoenixes will get one shot. Round number 7, bunch of free units. And I mean, looking at this, we could have gone Raiden here if we're really worried about the sledgehammers, but level 1 Raiden doesn't even one-shot these level 2 sledgehammers, so I felt like it was probably just better to sell and fully invest into our board of Vulcans and Phoenixes. Opponent does the same thing, picks up the Saber cash, as we like to call it. Cashes in that 600 profit. Temp range has been clicked, and we go for the same thing here. Intensive is back off cooldown, and we will level that Vulcan. I mean, it was close to leveling, I think, but better to kind of even out the board here. Range, second tech that's now been picked up. Another Mustang on the left to even things out against the Farseer. And range on the Farseer is a peculiar pick. But we have so much money now thanks to the unit drop that we even get to go loose formation, as I said. Really, really good tech into things like, well, boards that rely on sledgehammers or arc lights to chaff clear. Can be kind of useful into things like Tarantula or even Wraith sometimes, Hound, but not as effective as against a sledgehammer board like this one. Range on the sledgehammers now as well, so opponent is properly locked into the sledgehammers for their chaff clear, but you will see that they're really going to struggle now. Crawlers much more spread out, so the high explosive or the splash range from the sledgehammers are really not going to be enough. And after they deal with the crawlers, as I said, we still got these Mustangs. I don't even need to really range them, because they're doing a great job of standing in front of this Vulcan and allowing it to do its thing. Phoenix is locked onto the enemy melter that popped up on the right side. And yeah, looking at this board, I'm now very happy with everything I have. So next turn is probably just going to be more Phoenixes. And if we have a look at my tech bar, I run range, charge shot, energy shield, and quantum reassembly. If you only play standard, you could consider taking some of these off. You might not need charge shot, for instance, although I think it's a very good tech, so you can't always guarantee a long-range matchup, and I think charge shot has its uses defensively as well. You could take off quantum reassembly. I think portable shield or energy shield is mandatory. It's such a solid tech in both against like marksman or in a Phoenix mirror into Fortress AA. I run quantum because some people do run double shot but not EMP. So when that's the case, quantum reassembly is more appealing. And the other way around, if they run EMP, then energy shield is more appealing. It also provides like maximum resilience against potential Fortress AA. But you could take one of these off and run Elite instead if you really want to. Now, round number 8, and we get an Incendiary Bomb. I believe that we skipped here. And I actually decided to click Sprinkler on the Hounds I still had, because they weren't doing too much. And I was expecting my opponent to go for a Fire Oil play here. We do shield as far up front as we can, and it looks like our opponent wasn't too greedy, or was being greedy with the oil placement. So we're gonna block most of that. Mech Rage now. Third tech picked up on the sledgehammers, and more sledgehammers picked up. So they're really gonna try and kill these crawlers with more sledges. I'm not too sure that that's going to be possible. Maybe they should have gone for their own Vulcans, or pick up some Mustangs of their own. What we do is just triple recruit, triple elite recruit at that. More Phoenixes, making sure that we have more DPS. Temp range, of course, has been clicked, and round 8, both of us are now loaning. And yeah, outside Hounds are not going to have to do too much, but you can see here, Hounds are able to clean up some of the fire in the middle and allow this crawler pack to get through. It might not have been worth it to go for this, but I think if our opponent went for a very, like, safe fire placement, then the Hounds would have done even more, because obviously then the shields wouldn't have been able to block. Yeah, Vulcans are locked on. Level 3 in sight. That'll allow us to kill these sledgehammers even faster next time. Melter does lock on though, so right side struggling still. But we're managing to pull it back, and meanwhile the left side keeps winning harder and harder. And never mind, I mean, with the debuff, right side even managing to win there, finishing off that big Farseer. And yeah, now the damage is starting to rack up, and Tungdil near 1,000 hit points as we enter round number 9. More free units. Phantom Ray here could be an idea, but into enemy Farseer doesn't seem too appealing. If it was just Melter, then I would have considered it, but yeah, not ideal. Instead, it's just going to be the Steel Balls. It's worth a lot as well, so we might just sell one and pick up some levels here. Intensive Training is back off cooldown, so we can create, yep, 2 level 3 Vulcans. And, I mean, at this point, all I want really is just more Phoenixes. My opponent hasn't given me a lot of reason not to buy more Phoenixes, and I've gotten to the point where it's not very easy for him to do anything about it, really. Other than distracting, but buying Wasps here into Mustang is not ideal either. I mean, maybe they die early because they don't have range, but I'm not in any danger right now of dying immediately, so I would be able to resolve it the turn after. And yeah, look at this. Triple Wasp coming out as the response. But again, we do have those Mustangs. Whether it's enough here, I don't know. But even if it's not, we probably will get to see a next round and be able to pick up the range then. One steel ball has been sold. The other one kind of left here in the back to arrive late, maybe annoy a melter. And we elite recruit another Phoenix as well as another Vulcan now, since in the middle there's a whole bunch of sledges that aren't being dealt with. And, well, the Vulcans are doing fantastic work so far, so don't see a reason not to buy more. And let's have a look. How are those Wasps going to perform? Also, opponent went for the Phantom Rays. Some of them, I think, do get one shot. 9k hit points, 10k damage from the level 3 Phoenixes, so yeah. Not ideal, but might be able to stall the Phoenixes somewhat. And as you can see, yeah, the Mustangs are actually quite safe. Because the thing about missile intercept is that it starts intercepting at 150 range, even if your Mustangs are unranged themselves. So that can sometimes make it so that the Mustangs stay safer than they otherwise would if they had no techs. Left side again, crushing. And, I mean, 1100 hit points remaining. We even managed to keep our Vulcans alive. That'll be plenty to finish off the game. And that'll be that. A Vulcan Phoenix game from me playing some long range. And, yeah, showcasing how this comp kind of works. So, again, sledgehammer openers are going to be your best friend. In general, they're the best right now in long-range scenarios, but they kind of allow you to cruise through the early game without having to worry about shaft gear too much. I do recommend pairing them with some hounds just for the first couple rounds before you get your hands onto Vulcan. And then grabbing the Phoenixes early is going to work great. It's fine to skip a marksman on round 1. You don't need it. You can just work off of the Phoenixes later. And then, yeah, make sure that you kind of respond to what your opponent is doing, right? So here, we get the early Farseers, so we end up going for some missile intercept Stangs, which also work as chaff. We invest more into the Vulcans early because of the enemy sledges, and then eventually, once we've set everything up and we went loose formation crawler, we can start pumping out the Phoenixes at level 2. That's pretty much it. If your opponent goes marksman, again, if they have EMP, then energy shield is great. If they only have double shot, then quantum reassembly can be really nice. And if they go Fortress AA, then you might want both of these. You can always transition into Melter as well, though, if you don't have enough Phoenixes or enough high-level Phoenixes just yet. Anyway, that's all from me. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this comp. Were you there at the start of the beta when people were playing this comp non-stop? Let me know. If you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.